Plank. Presented by Jeep. Starts now.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Week 8 of The Plank. Beautiful thing. I missed last week,
It's been 8 weeks already.
Yeah, I missed you. Not really.
No.
I did miss you.
I didn't really miss you. Maybe a little.
But Greg Allman sat in for me, did a great job.
Yes, as always. Greg's insight is insight that you're only going to get one place, well, two places. His Twitter account, Tampa Bay Times, 3 places, and right here on The Plank.
Yeah. But, what happened? You had an off week. There was a, bye week. So what happens? Daquan Bauers decides, I don't know what he did. They still haven't made it clear. We think it's a diuretic because he's fat.
Wow.
So he needed to lose weight. And, I don't know who to blame on this thing because Jaworski Lane went through the same thing. He took a diuretic.
But he actually admitted coming out that it was a dietary supplement that caused him to get suspended 2 games by the NFL.
Well, see, when I see stuff like this, I'm going to ask Greg about this. I wonder, did the team give it to him?
Well,
was it administered by the team? They say, okay, listen, you need to lose 15 pounds, and here's how you're going to go about doing it.
Well,
is it just a coincidence?
Both of them in back-to-back weeks. You almost never hear that. 2 players back-to-back weeks getting popped.
No,
that's not good.
No, and Daquan, as far as I'm concerned, when he comes back, he can hit the road.
Well, that's kind of the question I have for you coming up later in the show in a new segment we have here called Buckshot, where I will give you 10 questions in rapid fire, sequential order, with a minute on the clock. So there's going to be one question there about Daquan Bauers.
So what have you guys been doing since I've been gone? You've been devising ways
We've had a barrel full of fun with Greg in here last week, and we had Dennis Phillips in here, our chief meteorologist, and then our fantasy guru, Matt McGuire, all came in here. We had a lot of fun. You missed it.
And I understand we got we're going to have somebody walk the plank, but we're going to ask you folks out there, which one of you think which Buccaneer should walk the plank this week? Who was it last week?
Last week we had Leslie Frazier, so it wasn't a player. It was defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier.
Yeah,
after that
you didn't
debacle,
put the whole team?
We couldn't. The plank would have broke.
What the heck?
It would have snapped.
Yeah,
we had to pick one.
I think they all deserved it.
Those are the rules.
There it is. Is that a replay of it? Or
no,
is
that is a teaser.
I don't know.
We call here in the TV
Rex
web biz.
Rex is making a better door than a window, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Rex is our cameraman.
He's cool. No, Rex is everything.
Awesome. Without him and without our other tech team, we wouldn't have the show on air right now.
Exactly.
So
yeah, you get. All right. Well, listen. I know Greg Allman is standing by from the Tampa Bay Times, the Buccaneer beat writer. Let's get into this game coming up on Sunday. So the Plank Report with Greg Allman right now. Very good, Jay. Nice. That was very timely.
Yeah.
That was pretty impressive. Greg, you there? I hope.
I'm there.
Hey.
I am here.
How are you, man?
Good to talk to you guys, Tom. Good to have you back.
Well, it's great. Great. And thanks a lot. You do a tremendous job when I'm gone, and so I'm waiting for my papers. But seriously, let's talk about this week, man. I mean, it's supposed to be an off week, and let's start out with our buddy Daquan Bauers. What the hell did he do? Do we know?
Yeah, he's not saying officially. Ian Rappaport, one of the national writers, had said it was for a diuretic. So probably very similar to what happened with Jaworski Lane a week earlier. And honestly, the 2 violations could have come at the same time. I think it might be a situation where one was appealing more than another. So I don't know that that one happened after another was suspended. But it is 2 suspensions in 1 week from the same team, which seems to be a pattern. We asked Lovie Smith about it the other day, and it's funny, Jaworski Lane had said that he mistakenly, had taken a dietary supplement, over-the-counter dietary supplement that he didn't realize contained a banned substance. But Lovie Smith said yesterday that, in fact, this is something that they're well-educated about and they chose to do and went down that path on their own. So, yeah, it doesn't look good for the team to lose 2 players, 2 players that, both have key roles in the team here in the middle of the season.
Well, Greg, you and I were there yesterday when Lovie Smith talked about the issues with the 2 back-to-back suspensions of Jaworski Lane and now Daquan Bauers. And he got a little testy a little bit about the educational standpoint of the players educated on what can they put in their bodies when it comes to supplements. And in this case, for Jaworski Lane, a dietary supplement to lose weight. And Lovie got a little, like I said, a little testy about it. Do you think it's a valid question, obviously, but how educated do you know, being with this team as close as you are, educated that they are, and if that's the case, why is this happening?
Yeah, I mean, clearly they're not educated enough if they have
Right.
two players. I don't know that I've heard of that many other players, period, across the league being suspended on this new wrinkle in the PED's policies. But Lovey said they are well educated. I can't tell if he's trying to protect the team and say, no, they are protecting the players and they're just not listening. But, yeah, today it's a very clear list of what you can and cannot take. And again, I mean, you'd think anytime you're putting anything even vaguely questionable in your body, anything that's not a food, you'd run it by the training. You'd bring it in $1. They have nutritionists, they have trainers. Say, hey, I want to make sure nothing in this is going to get me in trouble with the league. It would be that simple, and clearly that isn't being done. And again, it might be that they tell the players they have to do that and they're choosing not to. Jaworski had made it very clear he wanted to try and drop some weight. He had that 54-yard run in the opener and said he felt like if he were 10 pounds lighter, he would have taken it to the end zone. And I think he's tried to get himself slimmer. I think in doing so, he's probably cost himself 2 games. Daquan Bauers, yeah, I think he's had issues with his weight since the Bucs drafted him. So, whether that's the same situation with him or not, we don't know for sure. But it certainly sounds like about the same thing going on for him.
Yeah, Greg, we'll wrap up Daquan Bauers.
The portion of today's show.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap up Daquan Bauers' situation. But I want to know, when this guy comes back, are they going to cut him? I mean, have we had enough of him?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's suspended 2 years without pay. Don't miss him on Sunday. I mean, he's their top backup to Gerald McCoy at that 3 technique.
Well, that tells you something.
Yeah, it does.
It's not good.
Yeah, I mean, he's had 6 tackles in 6 games, in 5 games, I guess, because he was hurt. But it's not like it's a monumental loss in terms of impact and changing the game. But they want to be able to give Gerald McCoy plays off here and there to keep him fresh at the end of the game. And to do that now, they're going to have to either slide Akeem Spence into what is a secondary position for him, or take Will Golston, who's the starting end, and put him kind of in a secondary position. So it just takes them out of their natural rotation, and it does it for the next 2 games. These are 2 games where they want to have every advantage they can, and now they're either going without a fullback, and they're probably going without a true backup 3 technique, or they might have to just get by with backups in both cases.
Well, Greg, let's talk a little bit about this game going forward here. Bye week,
Yeah.
a lot of talk this whole week about adjustments. We still don't know the situation with quarterback. Lovey again today didn't commit to Mike Glennon or McCown.
Not to cut you off, John, but I would just say I think it's Mike Glennon all the way
agree.
here.
It better
on
be
Sunday.
Mike
And I
Glennon.
think it's a weird thing where Lovey isn't saying Mike Glennon is my starter, and I think it's because he values kind of the subterfuge and the espionage aspect of not telling anything he doesn't have to say. I don't think he hasn't named a starter because he doesn't know who his starter is or because he lacks confidence in his starter. I just think he doesn't want to share any information that he doesn't have to. So as if the Vikings are sitting here going, maybe it's the guy who was ineffective and then hasn't thrown a pass in a game in 4 weeks, or it's the guy who's run the offense for the last 3.5 games.
No, and I agree.
Which one?
And Greg, I agree with you. My point of saying this is now with him saying that, and we pretty much assume, like you said, it's going to be Mike Glennon. But going forward after the bye week, with Glennon going to be starting, how is this going to change with being all refreshed on the offensive side and also on the defensive side for the Buccaneers going against the Vikings with this bye week now in the past? And they are treating the season, like they said this week, as if the record is 0-0.
Yeah, it's a nice way to reset. If you count the 4 preseason games, they've played 10 games and they have 10 games left. So it's a good intermission, if you will. And I think they definitely want to feel like a fresh start is coming. They have a home game. They have a winnable game. They're favored on Sunday at home. Minnesota's another team that is 1-5 that hasn't played well. They've lost 3 in a row. They've had their own issues in terms of giving up a ton of sacks, not winning the turnover battle. That they're playing obviously without some of their key players. When you think about Adrian Peterson and Kyle Rudolph, some of the other guys they're used to having. Their offensive line has some injuries, so they're a vulnerable team. It's a game that is as damaged as the Bucs have been and as troubled as they've been. It's a game the Bucs can win if they play well on Sunday.
Hey, Greg, let me ask you about Vincent Jackson. There's been a lot of talk of these teams around the NFL are interested in bringing him on board via a trade before the Tuesday deadline. When I first heard that, I went, his agent's out there trying to get him out of town. What's your take on this? And because, I mean, when so many teams all of a sudden piling on Vincent Jackson, the word must have got around that, one way or another that he could possibly be bought.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Bucs have been careful to say that they're listening to Vincent Jackson, but they're not actively shopping him, and that may be for leverage as much as anything. Vincent Jackson is their best receiver right now. I don't know that he's playing at the level that he's being paid at. He's being paid like a top 10 receiver in the NFL. He does not rank in the top 40 in the NFL in catches or yards or touchdowns. He's catching a very low percentage of the balls that are thrown his way. And no, he does not have an ideal situation in terms of continuity at quarterback and a strong offensive line to give that quarterback time. But I don't think he's performing at a level they want him to. He's making $10 million this year. So, frankly, if there is a team that is willing to give up a draft pick of consequence, and I don't mean in any way a first or second or third rounder, because that's not going to happen. But I do think if they were to come at the Bucs, whether it be just any of these teams that are hurting at receiver right now, I think if they got a fourth or fifth round for him, I think they'd take it, honestly. It's an expensive contract. It's a 31-year-old guy in a position they just addressed in the first round of the draft. So as much as Vincent Jackson said today he wants to be in Tampa, he thinks he can turn things around and get winning football back to the Buccaneers. If the right offer came, I think they'd look hard at it right now.
Yeah. Well, Vincent's going to be saying the right things when asked a question like we were.
I thought he had a
today.
smirk on his face when you were there today, Greg. You saw it. He kind of smiled as he went along, and I don't know.
I mean, I think he's legitimately saying that it wouldn't help him at all to say anything other than that.
I agree.
If he says he wants out, all it does is lower the Bucs' leverage in a trade, and the less they get in a trade, the less likely he is to go. He hasn't been to the playoffs in 5 years, so I mean, I think he'd like to get back. But again, he certainly would like to have that happen here. I don't know if he's someone that's in the Bucs' long-term plans. He's due to make $10 million a year for the next 2 years. He could be the best receiver on this team. He could get 8-9 touchdowns a year and still not necessarily be earning the money he's getting paid. He's being paid very well at his position.
I'll tell you one thing I was impressed with today, and I've been waiting for it for 8 weeks, and that was Gerald McCoy coming out today and just basically, putting his defensive pals on notice. And also I think it probably attracted the attention of all his teammates and what he had to say today. It's about time one of the leaders on this football team actually come on out and do something and say something,
Well, I mean, Gerald McCoy is probably as vocal a leader as this team has, and as brutally honest a leader as this team has. And again, to call a defense soft, I can't tell you what a damning term that is in NFL parlance. To say that somebody is soft is about as cold as it gets. So if you ask Gerald McCoy if he thinks his defense is soft, normally you'd expect him to bristle at that and get offended at the question. So for him to not only say they are, but to say if you look at the video of this team, you look at the tape of this team, how can you not think that when guys aren't getting through their blocks and aren't making tackles? So no, I think it's something that surprised some people in their locker room, but it's something they probably needed to hear given where they are after 6 games.
Well, also, you can't blame him for doing that. Like TK was just saying. I mean,
he had to do it.
Someone had to come up and put this team on notice, and you wouldn't expect anybody else other than Gerald McCoy to do that.
Yeah, all right, here, let me ask you this real quick, Greg. How come Vincent Jackson doesn't do this? He's one of the captains of this team, and this guy doesn't do anything. Sometimes he doesn't even show up after a game to talk to anybody.
Right. I would say that Vincent Jackson and Gerald McCoy are very different in terms of their use of the public platform as leaders. We certainly don't know what they're like in the privacy of a locker room, but every example I've seen of Vincent Jackson is someone who does not like speaking publicly, especially in bad situations. He's not someone who talks very often after a loss. Again, as a captain, I always think that you're someone who needs to be accountable for not only your actions, but the team's actions. And he consistently is willing to deflect that burden onto lesser players, less experienced, less compensated players, and have them handle the duty of answering for why something isn't working because he doesn't want to. So, again, Vince Jackson is the Bucs reigning man of the year, does a lot of great things in the community. I don't know that he handles that aspect of being a leader and a team captain as well as he should.
Yeah, I agree with that. Listen, Greg, I appreciate again joining us here on the Plank with the Plank Report presented by Jeep. And as always, man, you're on the money.
All right, thanks, guys. Hey, Tom, I know you haven't seen it, but that graphic for Walking the Plank later, the animation is Pixar quality. it's worth waiting for here. Stick around on the show to see.
Yeah,
It's great.
It's on right now.
Yeah, Greg and I had a ball with that last week.
Yeah, we're going to have. I love it. Thanks, Greg. And yeah, we do. I've got somebody in mind. I know who I want on that.
I have someone else too.
But I know maybe some of you out there. If you don't see this, that's a phone.
Is that what it is?
That's
Are you
a
sure
phone.
it's not a paperweight?
No, and you dial. What's the number?
813.
Put it up there because I can't remember.
367-0171.
813. What is it? Oh, you put it right here. 367-0171. That's 813-367-0171.
And you could also
Call
tweet at
us
too.
You don't sit there. You come on, engage.
I'm already getting some tweets too. If you want to get in touch with Tom and I on Twitter with our handles there and using the hashtag.
Oriole fans? What do you do?
Oriole fans?
Tweet.
Oh, birds? That's you got to get with
I
it.
want somebody to talk to me. I don't want tweets.
I'm just
Listen,
saying, I got
folks,
some.
I love you, man. I love you. But if you can't get off your ass and pick up the phone and call, come on. All right?
Yeah, you can do that.
All right. So what else?
We have, like Greg was talking about, walking the plank. That'll be coming up later. And then we have a great new segment called Buckshot, where I throw some fire you some questions. So we have that coming up.
Oh, that's right. I can't wait.
And we have someone else coming up.
How long do I have to do this 10 questions?
A minute.
20
You got a minute.
1 minute?
Yep.
Wow. Wow. Just back from vacation and ready to hit me up.
Here you go.
Okay. All right, folks, the plank continues right after this. Hang in there and get on the phone, you knuckleheads.